Oh, what that aroma can do, brighter day for me and you. The best part of waking up is in your cup.
They say humans are social animals that can't live alone. But you can live pretty well by yourself. I tell you, instead of feeling alone in a group, it's better to have real solitude all by yourself.
This holiday season, every time you purchase a 12-ounce SnortBucks coffee, a portion of the proceeds will be given to the Penny Foundation, the world's premier charity dedicated to helping down-on-their-luck content creators pay their daily bills.
I need that money. I really do. I need that money to pay my bills, the electric bill, the internet bill.
So stop by your local SnortBucks today and help send some Penny their way.
So I guess you guys are probably wondering, Phil, why are you walking down the street like that? Well, it's kind of a long story, but I guess I got time to tell you guys. It all started when I went off to college and stupid bullies followed me, god damn it.
Oh boy, the big day has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. The big day has arrived. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Galtopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report, brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to draw this out too much longer because I've kept most of you guys waiting long enough, despite the fact that I'm going to have to... There'll be a much more extensive version of this broadcast coming later on. I'm kind of expecting you guys to hold me to that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, DSP. The foreclosure is real. Bankruptcy is the only option. This is from January 17th of 2020, our current year of gout. Ladies and gentlemen, someone had put in a request that if we would be willing to go over the Almighty Tevin version of this, or rendition, if you will, of this. So look out for that in the future. As well, we're going to go over all three parts of this whole nonsense. As you guys know, it's in 3 large parts. So we will record it all in 3 large parts and then put that out. So you'll get like a week of that too. So look forward to all of that. I'm going to kind of expect you guys to hold me to that to some degree. At least to the Almighty Tevin one. If you guys don't want to hear the 3rd part one, I'll just get around to that when I get around to it. But look forward to those things moving forward. Should be fun. Let's see here. Hold on a second. So, that should be cool. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's not hold off any longer. This is the foreclosure saga. Real fast, some of you have asked me on Twitter, am I ecstatic about this? How does it feel to kind of be right? How does it feel to do any of those things? Well, in actuality, ladies and gentlemen, we were all right. First off and foremost, not one person can say that this is his downfall. The only thing I can take credit for, and that's even if it's worth taking credit for, is that Phil was the architect of his own destruction. Everything Phil has, he'll eventually lose on his own. That's the only thing that I've said and I've tried to kind of drive home. You give Phil enough rope and he'll hang himself. That's the only thing I can actually take credit for. And even then, I don't even think I can take credit for that. That's just my own spin on an idea that I think all of us in some way, shape, or form have innately had about Phil. Phil Burnell, DSP, DarkSydePhailure, Dark Geppetto, Dark, Dave, whatever. This right here is kind of just the culmination of it. In truth, I don't feel anything, to be honest. And that's one of the things that some of the members here at GTG Network and Productions were kind of like shocked about. And so I'll try to explain myself to you and them, since they're all in the back anyway. I don't feel anything about any of this because we've already talked about this. We all knew this was coming. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. You don't have to feel surprised about something you already saw coming. That's what it comes down to. At least for me, anyway. That's it. I don't really feel anything about anything. I feel more the WWE, the 40K on the WWE thing was more surprising than anything. I would have never thought he has sunk that much money into it, but he is an addict. You know what I'm saying? He has a drinking problem. He has a gambling problem. He has a problem with telling the truth. He has all kinds of issues. You know what I'm saying? He's a rageaholic. You know what I'm saying? He's a pathological liar. He's a lot of things. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is just the culmination of it. But the main point of all of it is that it was all coming. This was all inevitable. You know what I'm saying? This was going to be the end game. And no matter how he walks out of this in the end, depending on what chapter he decides to file for, whether he walks away with at least what he's put into his home so far, which is about 160K, even if he walks away with that, he's still a loser. He'll sit there and try to flip that to you guys all day, meaning his fan base and the detractors, trolls, and critics to an extent that, oh, well, you know, it was no big deal, you know, and whatever. He can say all that nonsense all he wants, ladies and gentlemen, but in truth, he has to start over. From the ground up, he's going to have to start over. It's going to be everything that he worked for, he lost. Not Tevin, not the detractors as a whole, not the trolls, not his fan base, him. He lost all of those things. All of those things are gone because of him. And that, I think, is the most poetic of all of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've spoken long enough. I have an excellent breakfast kind of planned for you guys, which you guys are going to actually see in just a minute, provided by Tasty. And then, depending on how long this broadcast goes, we'll slide in some lunch. You know what I'm saying? We're going to slide in a little bit of lunch and whatnot. And I might have some other little surprises for you guys maybe as this goes on. Just some little advertisements and whatnot. And we're just going to go ahead and get into it proper, I think. I think that's the way we need to go about it. Like I said, my apologies for holding off for as long as we did. There is stuff that I'm trying to get in line for the second channel. And then there is stuff that I'm trying to work out for some weekend stuff that I'd like to have on the channel, as well as some other things. I need to try to get some interviews lined up. There's a lot going on. So like I said, my apologies for that. And then there's still the company meeting, or the network meeting, or the investor meeting that still needs to get recorded and whatnot. So there's still a lot to do. I have a lot of things that I have planned and whatnot. I'm glad that you guys have been patient with me. I'm glad that those here at GTG Network and Productions have been patient with me, because I got all these ideas because I'm feeling extra ambitious for whatever reason. And whatnot. You know, I got a new suit for the year, and I'm so quick to go out there and flaunt it that there's a lot going on. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for just giving me the opportunity, as usual. And enough of all that nonsense. Let's go ahead and get into this bacon, because I know that's what you guys are really here for. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. You guys all know the slogan. I don't smell no bacon cooking, and I don't smell my SnortBucks coffee being brewed yet. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys to place your orders, and it's time to watch me work. Get you guys a little bit of that breakfast too. Don't think I forgot. Get you guys a little bit of that breakfast.
Now let's play the game!
Oh, yes.
Warn everyone, warning, what you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and get into our main event, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, this video here is brought to us by Snort Burnell. DSP, the foreclosure is real, and bankruptcy is the only option. It should have been the only way out, but the only option. This is brought to us by Snort Burnell, and it was published on January 17th of 2020, our current year of gout. Let's not sit around unceremonial. Let's get to it.
The day I got back from Connecticut, I stopped paying my mortgage in Connecticut. Oh my God!
What the fuck? Whoa! Whoa!
Stay on his ass, Cole. Don't lose him.
What in the fuck was that, dude? Holy fucking titty twisting, what the? Damage one.
That is the condo that I used to own in Connecticut. That's the place where I used to film and do all that stuff. I stopped paying it, all right? I contacted the mortgage company at that time, and it was in April of 2019, and I said, I can't pay this anymore. This is ridiculous drain on my finances. It's a condo that my aunt can't live in anymore because she passed away. I can't rent it. I've tried to...
Stop. Okay, I've been very annoyed a little bit by that over the last couple of days. And there's a reason for this. The reason why his aunt was not at that condo is not because she died. I want to make this very, very clear, because I know at least a few of you know what I'm talking about when I'm speaking on this. The reason why his aunt is not at the condo is because she kept falling for whatever reason. She had some type of issue where she kept falling, and it was because of those falls is the reason why she basically couldn't live on her own, and they moved her out of that and moved her into hospice care, or into a home, or whatever the case may be. That's the truth. That's the reality. This whole nonsense about that my aunt that gave me gout and was a lesbian or whatever the case was, and who, and all the other medical issues or anomalies that is carried on in the Burnell bloodline. The reality when it comes to that condo is that she kept falling, and that's why she left. Now here is the real discrepancy. Riddle me this. He said on multiple occasions that she's lived there for a year. After 1 year, she got really sick, and then she had to leave. That's another cover story, too, that he's not telling you. He's saying that she died. Another story that he was giving us, though, was, oh, she got sick really bad after a year, and they had to move her into special care. Excuse me. And another story, oh, she lived there for about 2 or 3 years, and everything was good, and then she got sick, and then she had to leave, and whatnot. So I want you guys to kind of riddle me on some of those things for a little bit. But let that go ahead and sit in your noggin for a minute. But the reality is, the real reason is not because his aunt died. It was because she kept falling. That's why it became an issue with her living at that condo. And that falling may coincide with the fact that she was becoming more and more sick, and she couldn't live on her own. That's the reality. Not because she died. Okay? I just want to make sure I put that out there. And then, like I said, the discrepancy on whether she really lived there for a year or whether she lived there for multiple years. DSP News.
Hi, I'm Sora. And I'm Marissa. And we're going to show you how to make our berry stuffed French toast. The first thing we're going to do is get the berries all set up and funky.
In a good way.
Yeah. We chose this dish for Pride Month because it reminds me of when we first started dating. We started long distance and Sora came to visit me and she told me she was gonna make me this fancy French toast.
It was also the first month of us dating, so I was trying to impress.
And she did impress. And
now we're married. So for this recipe, we were using brioche bread because we both love that, but you can pretty much use any bread. You can even just use a white bread, a country bread, whatever you want.
I always love to put a lot of berries in mine.
I think food definitely plays a role in at least our community of queer friends and gay friends. In Boston, we had this huge house and all of our friends, either gay or gay queer allies, were always coming over to eat with us and we'd cook for them. And I think that that was very much us providing this amazing, safe, welcome space for all of our queer friends to eat food together, share stories, and just have fun. So now you have your egg mixture all ready. Take your sandwich and you dunk it in the egg mixture.
We're gonna put this in the frying pan for about 3 minutes on each side until golden brown. Oh my god.
Oh, it smells so good.
It's the butter. The butter is the key.
It's definitely the butter. In the meantime, you have to make some delicious whipped cream. Marissa is stoic and likes to hand whip all her whipped cream.
It adds a little love too. My forearm is very tired.
All right, we've got our spread ready. We have our champagne with some berries in it. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without a nice dollop of whipped cream, a sprinkling of berries.
You ready for this?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Ready?
We're gonna have a good brunch.
That was amazing. Cheers to us.
We did it.
Love you.
Oh, yes.
Dog Solve said, why didn't I sell the condo before I moved out of Connecticut? Is because deep down you have a feeling that you might go back to Connecticut. No, boy. All right, let's think about this logically, which a lot of people don't when they ask me these questions. If now the condo is worth about $50,000 to $60,000 and I owe $90,000, do you think 5 years ago I owed more or less against said condo? Let's just see, okay? Probably more because I've been paying it down, right? 5 years I've been paying it down, that mortgage. Which means, in reality, I owed over $100,000 on that thing when I moved, okay? And it was only valued around $60,000. I would have had even more of a detriment. Where was I going to pull $40,000 out of my ass to pay up the difference to get rid of that condo? I didn't have it. I didn't have $40,000 to pay the difference to sell the condo. My plan was that my aunt was going to live there because my aunt wanted to move to Connecticut. So she was going to live there for like 3, 4, 5 years until she qualified for this kind of assisted living style housing. Where she was going to live for the rest of her life. And what my hope was within those 5 years I could pay it down enough that maybe I could sell it, maybe the market would turn around. If not, maybe eventually I could rent it. These were all thoughts that I had. Sadly, what ended up happening was my aunt moved there and only lived there for about 1.5 years, and then she passed away. What really happened was she got hurt. She fell down and hurt herself, and then she couldn't live there by herself anymore. And then within I'd say about a year of that, she had to move out of my place and move to a place where basically almost like a hospice or hospital where someone could take care of her because she couldn't even walk around anymore. And then she passed away. So the whole plan went through the shitter because of my aunt's health. Then I said, okay, time to figure out if I could rent it. And I couldn't rent it because, like I already told you guys, no one will take up the responsibility of renting it because it's considered a high-risk area that no one will touch with a 10-foot pole. So I got screwed over, basically, with that situation. I got stuck with it. So no, there was no way to sell it before I moved because I didn't have $40,000 in my pocket to fucking spend to get rid of it, to pay off the mortgage, and there was, like, what else was I going to do? Now you might say, well, just don't move. Well, what was I going to do then? Live in Connecticut, where taxes were sky high and I was pissing money away constantly, and the business, by the way, if you guys didn't notice, my business was not doing very well quality-wise because I was not able to put out consistent live streams and stuff because the internet was shitty there. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to do things better, and I was limited in what I could do because of the limitations of the internet and stuff at that fucking place that I was living. So now I was going to own this place in Connecticut and move to another fucking place in Connecticut and pay just as high taxes. You know what I mean? There's been many benefits that you guys don't understand about me moving here to Washington. The weather's been better. My health has gotten better because of the weather being better. My back has gotten tremendously better. I'm much more healthy now than I was when I was living in Connecticut. That's 100% sure for sure. The taxes out here are way better. Taxes in Washington State are way fucking lower than they were in Connecticut. In Connecticut, I was paying tons of tax on gas. I was paying tolls for the roads. I was paying state income tax. I was paying insane amounts of tax living in that state. Now I don't pay any of that. Yeah, my federal taxes are still annoying, but my state taxes are under control. So in reality, there was just nothing I could do with that condo. I was stuck leaving it behind, and it was just bad luck of, you know, unfortunately, my aunt's health taking a big turn for the worse, and, you know, then eventually having to move out, and she passed away, which was really sad. You know, now I don't want to think about it. Now you guys are going to make me think about this. I'm going to get fucking sad. I don't really want to think about this. I'm trying to play a game here, but, you know, it sucks that things didn't work out. Oh, shit.
Find renters. I can't find any reliable renters to rent this place out. My parents can't deal with being renters in this place. They're elderly at this point, and they have health problems. I basically can't afford the condo anymore. So I need to talk to you, the bank, about what are the options that we can do, because I cannot make this payment at all anymore. And I need to know what we do moving forward, okay? So the good news is, I had a big payment that I stopped paying. Now the bad news is, the only thing that I could stop paying was the mortgage. I still had to keep paying the stupid condo association fees over there, which were over $400 a fucking month. I still are paying them now. I was stuck doing that because just so anyone knows how this works. Legally...
I mean, he was paying the property tax too. And he was still paying for the water or the sewage and or waste bill over there as well. It kind of makes you wonder why he actually stopped paying on that condo altogether. Just saying. Just saying. And it's funny how they got married in April. He got married April 10th. To add to my collection of useless information that someone pointed out in a previous broadcast. But he got married like April 10th, right? And then when they came home a week later, or just short of a week later, he said that he stopped paying on the condo, and now all of this shit happened. It's almost like it happened overnight, despite the fact that it actually happened over the span of about 8 or 9 months. Just makes you think.
When you have a mortgage on a property, you are responsible for everything, okay? But let's say, for example, the mortgage is held by a bank. The bank is technically responsible for doing things like paying the property taxes, insurance on that unit, etc. But if there's a condo association involved, you're still legally responsible to pay for it until that property is no longer in your name. So even though
we know you were still paying the property taxes, though. So that's kind of funny how he stuck them with the mortgage, yet he's still paying property tax and everything else. Don't make a whole lot of sense, but whatevs.
I said I can't pay the mortgage anymore. All right. I still had to pay the condo fees all year, okay?
Oh my god!
So,
how does that make sense? I can't pay the mortgage, so I'm going to stop paying the mortgage, but I'm going to pay the homeowners and the property insurance? I mean, and the property tax? And who knows if he was still paying insurance on the property? Things are starting to sound kind of wonky.
It sucked. I had to keep paying these condo fees every month. But I stopped paying the mortgage, and that at least helped in some regard, okay? And I tried to work with this mortgage company for 4 months. They asked me for every possible piece of information. Finally, I get a resolution from them, and the resolution is, well, we have all these assistance programs, and you qualify for none of them. We can't give you any kind of mortgage payment assistance. We can't give you anything like that. In fact, there's actually something called deed in lieu of foreclosure. If you don't know what that means, what it means is that basically the mortgage company who holds the mortgage on your property says, we agree to accept the property as payment for the rest of this mortgage, and we just leave it at that. We will not foreclose on the property. There'll be no suing or legal proceeding at all. We'll just call it even and take the property.
But we all know that's not what his situation is, though.
Okay? They tell me after 4 months of me providing documents and everything to them, we can't qualify you for anything because the condo in Connecticut is not your primary residence. If that had been where you were living, you would have qualified for everything, and we could have talked about all these different options, but because that's your secondary property and you live in Washington and that's your primary residence, you qualify for nothing.
But that makes sense, though, because theoretically, he has equity in his home in Washington. He has a quote-unquote source of income in Washington, theoretically. And so the bank would look at it, or someone at the bank, I should say, could look at it as, well, he misappropriated his funds. He bit off more than he could chew. He took on a glob of mucus that he couldn't snort. That's his own fault. They don't have to sit there and accommodate him on that, especially when this was all off of a government loan for a first-time homeowner and whatnot. So he's already had some accommodations, if you will. And on top of that, I don't know how his loan is structured. Matter of fact, he doesn't even know how his loan is structured. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There was probably certain perks within his mortgage if he had done certain things. Like, for example, if he paid over the minimum. Maybe if he made an additional payment a year. There was all kinds of different things that were going on back in the early 2000s, early and mid 2000s for first-time homeowners. For example, I have a relative that when they bought their first home, they did do this, but if they made an extra payment each year for the first 7 years, the bank, or whoever it was that they were going through to get their mortgage, obviously the bank, but they would knock off, I think, what was it? They went in for like a 20-year mortgage. They said they would knock off like 7 or 8 years, and that's what they did. And on top of that, they got cash rebates every single year, which went to either improving the property already or things to help increase its value. There was all kinds of stuff that was being given out and doled out at that time. And so who knows what he was given. And most of those little perks, he may never even taken advantage of, if they were even afforded to him. So that's one of the first things that you start to really get into when you start getting into this whole situation with this mortgage and whatnot. And because of how absent-minded Phil Burnell is, DSP, DarkSydePhailure, and how single-minded he is in things, all he looked at when he basically signed his soul to that paper is, oh, now I got money to buy myself a condo. Not thinking about anything else. Not thinking about some of the more fine print type aspects and some of the real perks for being a first-time homeowner or whatever the case may be, or property owner. And that's a shame. And it's because of that now him being, fucking himself over in his late 20s, he's now screwed himself over going into his 40s, which will actually, ladies and gentlemen, which is the reality, is going to fuck him over when he gets into his 50s. He won't actually probably be clean and clear of this until he's in his mid-50s. Think about that. He's going to spend he's been failing throughout his 30s. He's going to spend his 40s and at least a portion of his 50s paying off a debt that will literally mean nothing just so he can start back at zero. Just so he can start back at zero. Isn't that crazy? We're talking about an individual who, over his span of being on the internet, has made well over $1 million. You know what I mean? In a couple of years, he would have made $2. He would have ended up making $2 million over the span of maybe 15 years on the internet. Maybe 15, 18. Okay? The point is, he's made over $1 million doing nothing but garbage over the last decade plus, right? Got himself out of debt from trying to chase an FGC career that, to be honest with you, wasn't a career because he wasn't that good. And he had a bunch of limitations, and he tried to use his personality to get him over. Like all of this shit was, like he was cutting a fucking promo and shit on Raw and whatnot. All of that failed. Right before they could even kick him out, he ran himself out to go to YouTube, get lucky, because that's what happened. Get lucky, get himself out of debt, and then put his ass back in debt to prove that he was worth a damn, to prove that he was successful, to obtain all of the things that mommy and daddy wouldn't give him because he didn't live up to a certain standard, or they didn't have the money, or maybe he just didn't need it. That's the reality of this whole foreclosure thing, if you want to look at it from a certain angle, which is why you guys are here. Maybe. Kinda. I don't know. I like to think that way. DSP News.
I said, so what's the next step? We want you to short sell your property. All right. So for those of you who are longtime viewers of mine, I've already
drinking that bathroom water. I wanted to comment on this and whatnot. So this idiot here, I was watching it was either a Tevin stream or an LSB stream. Maybe I was going back and forth between the two. Can't remember. But if it was a Dark Dave stream, I would have remembered it vividly. But big ups to all of them. But this idiot right here, it's a night stream, right? And he runs out of water. And I guess we're going into a boomer segment or some shit. And he's like, oh, guys, I'm all out of water. I'm going to run to the bathroom and fill my water bottle. I'll be right back. Now, I'm thinking, the first thing that comes to my head is, who drinks tap water like that? Well, who drinks tap water? Like, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't drink tap water. You should drink it filtered to some degree. I'm not saying bottled water. Just get yourself a Brita or whatever to get it filtered. If you drink it, but if you don't have anything, you don't have anything. But that's my first thing. Secondly is that, okay, if you're going to drink water, tap water, that's fine, but why the fuck would you drink that out of your bathroom tap? Third, you're telling me that this twat is so lazy that he couldn't go downstairs and get a bottle of water, that he would rather go to his bathroom and get water out of the tap. And he thought that was okay. And that's not even the first time he's mentioned doing that. Yikes. That's all I'm going to say is yikes. I'm not saying you guys have to treat this like Mexico, where you can't even drink the water out there and you have to buy bottled water by the cases and shit. I understand that. Don't get me wrong, but that's kind of gross. Drinking tap water out of your bathroom? Alright, B. Alright, B. The hardships apparently have hit the Burnell house a lot harder than maybe we've been really paying attention. Just saying.
Talked about this. I did try to short sell my property back in 2017. Okay? I did. I actually contacted a realtor in Connecticut. They put the property up for sale. They made it look nice.
Now, he has mentioned this story before, but I have some questions. And there's some reasons for this. Walk with me on this. Walk with me. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows, or at least most of you guys at least heard me talk about it, the infamous story of the realtor in Connecticut who after going through this arduous process of trying to find someone who would actually pick up the property, because the lore goes, oh, well, I tried to reach out to certain reputable retailers to go ahead and try to put up my property for sale, and no one wanted to touch it because it's in such a bad neighborhood and so on and so forth, and even though I'm not too far from the coast, no one wants to touch it. It's in a shitty neighborhood. Then all of a sudden he finds somebody. Now he says he finds somebody like cat. Anyway, he finds somebody. The funny thing about the person that he finds, he says that, oh, I couldn't find any information on them, like on Yelp, or I couldn't find any ratings on how good they are, or whatever, but I decided to take them on anyway. And he said, and I quote, the only caveat to us going and doing business with each other is that you don't call me, email me. And that's how we'll do our correspondence. And then immediately after that, the guy ends up calling him and whatnot, saying that, hey, I need to run some things by you. And he's like, dude, I told you I work all day. Don't call me. If you need to get in contact with me, email me. And the guy was like, why not? I can just call you. Like, this is kind of important. I don't got time to be writing this in an email. Anyway, after a little bit of back and forth, Phil was like, you know what? I'm done with you. If you can't do what I tell you, and if you can't follow my instructions properly, then I don't need to do business with you. End of story. So that's one part of the lore. Now he's saying, he has said this a couple of different times, but it gets remixed and whatnot a lot. There's a snort touch to each and every one of them about how, oh, I originally found a realtor, they were able to put it on the market, someone came to him with an offer, and the bank turned it down. Let's let him finish, and then you'll see what I mean.
That place sitting there, and what happened was my aunt was living there. I was allowing my elderly aunt to live there because I knew that she was getting very old and that eventually she was going to pass away. So she wanted somewhere to live in Connecticut until she could find assisted living. And she lived there for a good 2 to 3 years when I first moved here. And then finally she did move into assisted living, and last year she passed away. So for 2 or 3 years, I wasn't going to rent it anyway. I was figuring I make enough money, I'll do something nice for my aunt, which I did. But then when she moved out, it was possible to rent. I looked into it. There is not a single reputable property management company in that area of Connecticut that will touch that condo with a 10-foot pole. I looked into it. And most of the reputable companies are mostly in the better parts of Connecticut, like northern Connecticut. Because you say, Connecticut's a rich state, right? Every time I think Connecticut, I hear snooty white people who are rich. And it's the people like the movie stars that live in Connecticut, right? That is true, but not the part of Connecticut where I live. part of Connecticut where I live was southwestern Connecticut, which is considered lower income, not as good, a lot of bad elements in that area, to say the least. And sadly, it's considered a high-risk area for tenant issues. So most of the reputable companies in Connecticut that do property management will not deal with any properties in my area because they consider it a high-risk area where there's a high chance someone who rents it will end up being a problem, whether they won't pay their rent on time, they'll cause problems with the rules or whatever, and they don't want to deal with that. They're like, you know, we have a reputable company, we don't want to deal with assholes where we know that there's a high risk for that, and we have a lot of problems. So sadly, the only thing I would have to do is take an insanely huge chance on someone who basically has like no online ratings, no, you know what I mean, no history, no testimonials, and I looked at a couple of them. In particular, there was one person who apparently was already doing property management of beach houses down at the beach side of the same town where my condo is in Connecticut. And I contacted this guy via email, explaining to him, listen, I live in Washington, we have a big time difference between us, and I work all day. So please give me email correspondence. This is the best way that we can talk. Here's what I would like to discuss, renting this place out, and we can have more further details if you're interested. The guy calls me immediately, even though I said in first contact, don't call me. Fucking calls me, leaves me 3 voicemails during a day. I'm trying to reach you regards renting out your place. I'd like more information. So obviously I can't call him back. I'm working, right? So then, this was about 2.5 years ago, by the way. So then I write him back an email again. I say, sorry, I told you initially in the initial email, I cannot email back and forth. I'm sorry about that. That's just the nature. You know, our time zones are different and I work all day. By the time I get back to you, it'll be like the middle of the night for you. Please, let's have email correspondence. The guy fucking called me again. That was it. I'm like, I don't know. This is supposed to be the guy who you're going to want to manage your property, and he can't get step 1 communication down. He's a fucking moron. So how on earth am I going to trust someone like that to take care of my property? And that's what I mean. Like, those are the kind of people who I found in Connecticut. Oh, yeah, I do property management. Well, do you have a website? No. Do you have any reputable reviews online? No. Well, what the fuck? So I'm going to pay this person who I can't contact, they won't contact me properly, to do a job and probably do a horrible job and get me in trouble. You see what I mean? The poor problem here, the problem is, ultimately when you rent a place out, you are responsible for what happens. So if they tear the place apart, they don't abide by the rules, I could get sued, and I could become even more financially bad off by having thousands of dollars in fees and being sued and all this, which I can't afford, all right? So the potential of maybe getting a few $100s extra every month with the high-ass risk of being sued or getting in trouble by a condo association or getting extra fees on top, it's not worth it. If I could find a reputable property management company to do it for me, 100% today I would rent my condo in Connecticut, but I haven't found a single one. They just don't exist in the area. People don't want to rent those places, you know?
She had multiple people coming and look at it. They had a cash offer for this property. We brought that information and gave it to the mortgage company, and the mortgage company denied it and said this house is not eligible for short sale because the loan type that I had was a federal, it's called, I believe it's called, is it FDA? It's a special loan. It was the first house I had ever bought. I bought it in 2009. And because of that, I had qualified for special assistance from the government where the down payment was much less than a normal mortgage because it was my first time. It was like a first-time home buyer special.
Now, I want you to think about that, too. So, because we talked about some of the perks of being a first-time homeowner back in the earlier mid-2000s, his mortgage was less than what it was supposed to be, and yet this idiot still didn't put more money down so he could put something, so he had something against the principal. So more of his money, I should say, would go towards the principal instead of it just getting sucked up by interest. He was already cut a break. He was already given an advantage, and he somehow still figured out a way to fuck it up. He still figured out a way to screw that up. Amazing.
Mortgage that I did through the government, okay? So after doing all that work in 2017, again, that was like 3 or 4 months of work in 2017, trying to short sell the property, I was told by the mortgage company, you can't short sell the property because it's under this special loan, you can't do it. Here we are in 2019,
Now, before he hops into this is where my problem comes into play. Because remember that previous story I told you about how, oh, I had a realtor that he reached out to me and I told him that, you know, don't contact me, yada, yada, yada. That part is gone now. That piece of piggy lore has been wiped away. And now, all of a sudden, oh, well, I had a buyer, right? Cash offer and the bank denied it. See how something don't sound right? You see how something don't seem correct? And which makes me think, when he told the original story about how he contacted a realtor, the guy called him, he didn't like the fact the guy was calling him, and he wiped that away. He realized later on, wow, that makes me look like a fucking idiot. And that's the reason why, and it's just going to make me look like what's going to happen next is all my fault. So let me remix it into this particular scenario. Now, it's very possible that both of these particular scenarios happen, but I'm starting to lean towards the fact that one of them is a lie. One of them was the truth, but it makes them look stupid because it did. And now we're remixing it into this short sale story, especially if he was trying to sell the property because he couldn't afford it. Don't you think he should have known what the parameters were of his mortgage before trying to sell it? Or you think he should have, or would have or should have called the bank to find out, hey, is my house eligible to do this? But see, Phil's not that smart. So his stupidity, in a lot of ways, is his cover. It's his shield. It's his window dressing. And that's one of the craziest aspects of DarkSydePhailure, is he's just stupid enough to get away with pulling off a con job or getting away with a lie. No matter how small or insignificant the lie is, or how stupid the move that he does, he's just dumb enough to get away with it. And it can be a bit frustrating, but yet at the end of the day, it's amusing. So let's continue.
4 months I'm working with the mortgage company. They tell me you qualify for nothing, short sell the property. I said, I can't. You denied me 2 years ago.
Wow.
But that wouldn't have mattered any which way because that was 2 years ago, idiot. Let's play devil's advocate and say this shit's true. Let's say this is true. Disregard everything I said 5 minutes ago. Well, less than 5 minutes ago. And let's say what this cockamamie story of his is true. That was 2 years ago, moron. You need to get this shit sold. So sell it. You sitting here crying like some little business. I tried to sell it 2 years ago and you guys wouldn't let me. I don't care about that. The bank don't care about that. The government don't give a fuck about that. You need to go out there, piggy, and get us our money. So make it happen. I don't give a shit about 2 years ago. I don't give a shit if it was 2 months ago. Go and get us our money. You see what I'm saying? That's the reality. He's sitting here harping on 2 years ago like he harps on Detractor dumb shit. He always talked about, oh, you guys shit on me for something that happened 2 years ago. This, that, and the third. You guys need to let that go. Shit, the escort saga was how long ago? He ain't let that go yet. Panda walking out on his ass was how long ago? That doesn't prevent him from stalking her on Instagram. So, you know what I'm saying? You and John and Howard basically dissolved your friendship how long ago? And you're still up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, probably sending drunken text messages to them? Who needs to let what go? Go. Defiant sniff. You see what I'm saying? Let's continue, though. DSP News.
That would be the laughing stock of Connecticut. If I tried to go to a realtor now and said, I mean,
you are the laughing stock of Connecticut, though. Like, for sure. For sure. like here, a quick pro quo, if you will. Well, I've been under the weather. You know me. I like frequenting YouTube and whatnot, seeing what's what and whatever. I like watching a bunch of different shit. And for whatever reason, I don't know what the scenario is with what's that thought's name? No, she's not even a thought because she's not even good. But what's that chick's name? Bad Bunny or whatever. I don't know what she's doing yet. Okay, at the time that this comes out, you guys, this whole story should have blown up. But there's something going on with this chick. They got her doing stupid shit. And now these are big YouTubers who I've never heard ever mention DSP's name. Never would have a reason to, whether they're in the gaming sphere or not. are bringing him up in comparison to Bad Bunny. So you're already a laughingstock. And I'm talking about, like I said, I've watched a couple of gaming channels that are talking about it, a couple of animation channels that are talking about it. And there's just some regular channels in between that DarkSydePhail's name pops up. So you already are a laughingstock online. So it's not too far of a stretch to assume that you're not a laughingstock in Connecticut. Connecticut ain't that small. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me there's not one person from high school and not one person from college who don't know who DarkSydePhail is and is keeping tabs on his silly shit, you know, as just a casual fan, just to see the fucking trash fire, not even a trash fire, the landfill fire go about. Really? Come on, dude. Come on. And then we're over dramatic. I'm being over dramatic, but he's over dramatizing all this bullshit, saying I'd be the laughingstock of Connecticut if I try to resell this, that, and the third. He's literally giving you an excuse on why he doesn't want to put the work in and whatnot. When in actuality, for those 4 months, all he was doing is giving them the documentation they were asking him for. That's not work. If he was organized, like, you know, most people who run a business, it wouldn't be hard to find those things. That's nothing more than a simple email, click, and go. But see, DarkSydePhail is not like that. He wants the idea, he likes the premise of running a business, but he doesn't really know how to run a business. He literally ran his YouTube business into the ground. His Twitch business never got off the ground. Just throwing it out there. DSP News.
Property up for sale had a cash offer. It was denied by the mortgage company 2 years ago, but now the mortgage company is telling me to try to short sell the property again. There's no way a realtor would even agree to it. The realtor's not going to go out there and do
Well, first off, why would you even tell them that? Why would you tell the realtor that? Hey, I need to get this sold. Can you sell it? The backstory don't mean anything. See, he's treating this right here like he likes to treat his little pre-streams and shit. Like, yeah, my name's DarkSydePhail. I used to work at this helicopter company, and then I got fired after like 5 years, and after getting laid off, I fell into YouTube, or YouTube fell into me. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, the way he talks about shit. Anyway, YouTube kind of just fell into his lap, and then Blip TV, and then after Blip TV, back to Machinima. He literally was going to try to give, he's literally telling you that whatever bank he was going to go to, or realtor he was going to go to, I should say, to try to sell his property, he was going to have to give them his life fucking story to make all that happen. Oh, I bought the condo because I wanted to be closer to my job because I was such a good worker because they made me an ace, right? They spent all this money to get me training so I could completely rehaul the business, and then I end up getting fired like X amount of months later. But I bought the condo for them, though. I did it for them because that's how committed I was. The realtor don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Your backstory means nothing. The only thing they need to know is how much are you trying to sell this for, and how much are you going to be able to put up to help them have the stage the unit, and what's your time frame. That's kind of I mean, there's more that goes into it, but for the most part, that's the cut and dry. No one gives a fuck about a backstory, but that's what he's feeding these kids and these wheelchair symbols and everybody else. He's trying to feed them this bullshit. Trying to make it sound like it's such an arduous and such a tedious and such a fucking terrible fucking situation. Like he's doing trials and shit for godhood. That's literally how he trying to treat this shit. No one gives a fuck about the backstory. But that's how he wants to act like it. He's literally talking his way out of why he did any work the second time around. Jesus Christ.
Hours of free work, pro bono work, to put the property up for sale, get a buyer, get it lined up, just for you to fucking deny it again because you're idiots.
Oh, you're gonna get salt.
And it's not free work because they're gonna get their money in the end of the day anyway with the sale, idiot. So that's how that was gonna pay off. That's how that was gonna work. If not, the realtor was gonna have to take the hit if it don't sell. So trust me, it wasn't gonna be free. Eventually, they were gonna get their money in the end, if not a little more. Because if anybody who knows a realtor, some of them, not everybody, they, you know, after they get their whatever, shit, I can't even. What? It's like 10-15%, I guess. I guess it depends on the state. How much realtors get. It might be more, it might be less. But some realtors are always known for tacking just a little bit extra for extra expenses. And why shouldn't they? You know what I'm saying? If you put some real money into it, if you put $20,000 of your own money into or of your company's money, if you will, into a property and you finally get it sold, you're going to not just want your fee, but you're going to want to recoup as much of that, if not more, you know what I'm saying, if possible. So let's be honest.
Even now, again, my mouth overpowered with salt flavor.
So I presented all that. I even had the letter, the denial letter from 2017, when they had denied the short sale then. I sent that directly to the mortgage company saying, you're so stupid, you don't even keep your own records from the letter you sent me 2 years ago denying me this, okay? So after that, I send that to them, and they say to me, okay, well, we'll take this under consideration. We'll get back to you, okay? Now, in the meantime, I'm not paying the mortgage. I can't anymore. And the truth of the matter is, even without paying the mortgage, still every month I couldn't afford stuff. Because I told you, really the only reason I was keeping stuff afloat was that Emerald 7 money that had come in from all those subs last year. And after that money dried up, that was the end of it. You know, that.
Wait. Okay, a couple things. One, when he sent them back the letter, I doubt he said that, oh, you guys are stupid or whatever. I'm sure he didn't do that. I wish he had, though, because that would justify what I'm about to say next. But when he sent back that letter saying that you guys denied me because of such and such 2 years ago, it only makes sense why they ended up selling off his mortgage or his debt to whoever they end up selling it off to later on. So Phil, in a lot of ways, justified that later on. So we'll get to that when we get to it. Second thing, this Emerald 7 money, okay? Shit. Between 15, no, it was between like 12 and like $17,000. We're talking about a redunculous amount of money, okay? Between like 12 and 17,000. Don't worry. Someone in the comment section, James the Lesser, I'm confident, or one of the usual suspects down there will go ahead and give us the exact figure. But I'm pretty close. It was like between 12 and 17. A ridiculous amount of money from one individual. He's talking about when that money dried up, that was it. You know what I'm saying? That saved him for that amount of time, and that's it. He got paid all of that in a month. You're telling me that that right there was able to be stretched out, or he couldn't stretch that out for multiple months? He was begging the next month over. After like 2 months, I think he was talking about the money was already gone. It was already spent. And here's a little nuance, a little nugget, if you will. WWF reference for anybody who knows. The fucking nugget that should have been, that keeps kind of popping up, that should have been flushed and it didn't. We'll see if Super Crazy or Jay catches that reference. Is the fact that he also got the usual pay piggy money too. So let's break this down. We got between 12 and 17,000 from Emerald 7. That's all bonus. That's all bonus monies, right? That's all big whale money. You know what I'm saying? Big pimpin' money. And then we still got our usual little money, which is between about $5,000 to $8,000. He still had that money too. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're all on the same page about that. It wasn't like, oh, Emerald 7 was the only person that was giving him money that month and that was it. Let's not go ahead and fall into that scenario. Let's not go ahead and become susceptible to that form of pignosis. He got his own little regular money that month too. At least 7,000. At least 7,000. Just want to point it out. DSP News.
I couldn't afford anything. So every single month, I'm overdrafting on my bank account. I'm barely making ends meet. There's credit cards and loans going unpaid. And basically, I have no money. Even though I'm not paying the mortgage, I'm using that money from the mortgage that I'm not paying to pay the basic stuff, to buy games for the streams, to pay the utilities. There was one month when it was actually the internet bill didn't get paid on time. And they called me. I was like, oh, fuck, the internet's going to
So let's think about that scenario for a minute. So the condo in Connecticut, as well as his mortgage in Washington, he said on multiple occasions he's paying about $1,200 a month, a little more, a little less. All right. So he stops paying his $1,200. We're sitting on about between 12 and 17,000 from Emerald 7, on top of whatever we were supposed to make that regular month, and yet we're still broke. We're still strapped for cash, and yet now in our current timeline, okay. In the newest season of the DSP anime / manga, we have this 40K WWE Super Card game, or sorry, WWE Champions game on mobile game thing, issue, situation, scenario. Now we have that, and then when you think about, as you guys may have heard in my last broadcast, that both Argent and Josh from Kiwi Farms pointed out that all these big times he needs this all these scenarios where he needs to drum up this money for taxes, or drum up this money to pay a mortgage, or drum up this money for overdraft fees, it all coincides right around the same time that he needs this money for this WWE game. The James the Lesser videos go over that, or they touch on it as well. So that's a situation too. That's a thing too. You see, you guys feel the rope tightening on him? I do too. I do too.
Turned off. So I had to really finagle some money around quickly to pay them quickly so that I could keep the internet on. It was a nightmare. The whole last year, all right, was a nightmare.
I'm pretty much to the point where, yeah, I'm financially destitute. It sucks. So it is what it is.
Finally, the mortgage company just stopped talking to me. Okay, just completely and utterly stops talking to me. And I'm like, well, this sucks. I wanted to work with them. I wanted to figure out what was going to happen.
How were you going to try to work with them when they were idiots? And you'll see how he's looking down, looking away, looking around. That kind of, it's the usual telltales. But he wanted to work with them despite the fact that they were idiots because they denied him a quote-unquote alleged short sale cash-only offer 2 years ago. If they were that incompetent 2 years ago, why would you want to still work with them? But Phil apparently wants to stay around people who are incompetent. Losers, I guess, are attracted to losers, I suppose. So let's just keep rolling with it.
With the property. And all of a sudden, about a month later, I'd say this is probably around September-ish, I get a letter in the mail. Oh, got some news for you. Your mortgage company sold the mortgage off to another company. So you no longer talk to that company anymore. You have to work with a new company. What? I was like, what?
What?
You gotta be kidding me. So I worked with this mortgage company for 5 months. So April, May, June, July, August, September. They stopped talking to me and then sell the mortgage off to a third-party company so they don't have to deal with it anymore because they know I'm not paying it.
First off, I thought it was 4 months. 2, that's how business works. If they can't do nothing with you, remember, Phil, these idiots in that letter, their denial letter for that short sale, all cash, 2 years ago? Remember when you sent that off to them as, your reasoning on how are you going to be able to short sell the condo a second time when they denied you the first time? When someone looked at that, someone in accounting, looked at that and was like, okay, because of how his loan was structured and if we've already denied him before, we can't do nothing with him. So if someone is willing to buy this off of us, we'll get our money and then let him be somebody else's headache. And that's exactly what they did. At the end of the day, there are plenty of companies out there that buy bad debt. And Phil is very much bad debt or toxic assets. And that's exactly what Phil is too. And that's what someone did. You weren't worth the trouble. You know what I'm saying? Everything was stacked against you and you were, I'm not sure if your parents have told you this because that's what you were. Hence the reason why your mom should have swallowed. But you're a liability. You're a liability. If you want that in internet terms, you're a parasite. You're a fucking issue. You're a problem. And you're not worth dealing with. So they passed you on to somebody else. They collected what little money they could and then they got rid of you. And that's what they did with you. And the fact that you're sitting here admitting this, thinking that it's part of your story, and it's going to add to your scenario, when you have at least some person who has some bit of competence can look at this and be like, that's not good. But then again, that's how business works. Only yet again works against your narrative, which is probably the reason why you wanted to issue that 2-month challenge so you can keep the wolves, right? So you can keep the lions and the wolves and the tigers and everything off your neck for 2 months. So I get it. It was poorly executed, but I get it. But that's what the bank considered you, a liability. And 10 years later, if your credit ever does get fixed, you'll still have certain notations on your credit score that will still remind people of that. I hope you know that. If you don't know how a credit score works, Phil, or how your credit report works, you might want to go ahead and Google that. Google is your friend. And there are certain websites, financial websites, that will tell you what are some of the notations that are on that will still be on your account. That I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, that that's going to affect him from getting credit later. What I'm saying is when someone comes in to do appraisaling on some of his credit later on down the line, especially for something big, some of those things it's just a notation. It's just a little side note that, hey, 10 years ago, he had this. Not to say that he'll do it again, because, you know, a competent person probably wouldn't, but just to let you guys know. With love, GTG. And DSP News. The reliable ones. Well, unreliable ones at this point.
Anymore. Okay? So I find out, I do some research, and I find out this new mortgage company specializes in foreclosures. This is what this mortgage company does. They buy...
That's not research, because I'm pretty confident in the letter that they sent you, they told you that. You want to know why? Because legally they would kind of be obligated to do so. Idiot. That's not research. Because it says it on the paper or on the documentation doesn't make it research, idiot. It's funny how he was willing to do all this research when he got passed off like some cheap whore. But when it was time, when he was trying to get this piece of property off his hands, he didn't think about doing some research, in air quotes, with his bank to see if his property was actually qualified for a short sale. It's amazing how there's no correlation with any of that. It's amazing how we got a discrepancy between all that, ladies and gentlemen. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Bad debt, and then they foreclose on the houses. They sell the houses, and then they try to sue people to make up for the money that they didn't get from the sale of the house and what was remaining on the mortgage, okay? So in particular, in my situation, I'm pretty much screwed and out of luck because my mortgage on the house is still around $100,000. That house, that condo in Connecticut is only worth about 60 grand on a good day. Actually,
and that's his fault. We're talking about an idiot who was making $200,000 plus a year for a couple of years while he was there. Had more than enough money in a single year to pay the condo off clean and clear and whatnot. All he have to do is pay his property tax, pay whatever insurance that he would owe on it, and his homeowner's fees, and he could have been golden. And then when he moved, then he could go ahead and he could afford to let it bleed for a couple of years while he figure out what he's going to do with it. Not to say that would have been a smart move, but whatever. We're talking about a pig here, not a man. With that being said, he didn't do that. He wanted to go ahead and buy frivolous bullshit that don't mean nothing. Statues, all kinds of other little ridiculous shit, right? To justify his success and try to make up for the holes, the pockets, the black holes, if you will, of his fucking childhood. That's what that was. No one needs to feel bad for him on that. If you choose to, I won't judge you on that. But I would like to put the disclaimer out there, you know, for the Detractor community, I suppose. I don't speak for the Detractor community, but you know what I mean? That you don't have to feel bad for him on that. He did that himself. Someone go ahead and get the wine ready, because, you know, we're going to be hoisting him up soon.
Units they've now been selling for around 50 grand. So you're talking like a $50,000 fucking deficit, okay? Between if they sold the property and what I owe on the mortgage. So hint, hint, hint. Hint, hint, hint. Hint, hint, hint.
Mark McCauley says, hint, hint. Dude, no hint, hint. I'm outright telling you, I really would appreciate some help via tipping. That's not a hint.
So you're right. As ludicrous as this sounds, I'm paying condo fees of over $400 a month on a condo that's not even worth $60,000. I talked to the new mortgage company that now holds the mortgage on my condo.
You want to hear something else a little bit ludicrous? Now, I didn't actually hear they call me text interview on this, so I'm hearing everything like second and third hand, but they're all reliable sources, right? So I believe it, and even though I didn't actually hear the interview. But the lore, ladies and gentlemen, is that our boy Phil purchased the condo because he got cucked by a female co-worker into buying it. Like her and her husband owned it or whatever, or boyfriend or whoever it was. And Phil thought he had a chance with her, so he wanted to show he was a big shot, so he bought the condo. Not because he wanted to be closer to the job, because he was trying to impress some chick. And after the sale was made, he finds out that supposedly all these things were wrong with the condo. And her and the boyfriend end up, or the husband, whoever, take the money and they run off and they spend the rest of the time spending. And she doesn't even talk to him after that. The moment they got their money, she stops talking to Phil. Not even a hello anymore. Done. I guess they used to carpool with each other or something along those lines. Now all that stopped. All that. So he was literally cucked into that condominium. And then ended up getting nothing but it afterwards. If the lore is true, that's how that played out. That's how he got into that condo in the first place, which makes it that much more funny. It makes him that much more hilarious. He could have gotten him something new. He could have gotten himself something pristine, but apparently he likes chasing after sloppy seconds, and that's he couldn't even get that. He couldn't get that. He was chasing after another man's sloppy seconds in 2 categories. He wanted his woman and his condo, and just got a beat up condo. That was it. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Condo in Connecticut to find out what's going on, and they say, well, we have all these fun assistance programs and things you can qualify for. Send us all your income documentation.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
I said, get the fuck out of here. I didn't qualify for it with the last mortgage company. Why would I qualify for it with you? So we had a conversation, a very honest conversation with one of the reps there, and they said, chances are you're not going to qualify for anything. Is there anything you can do to pay this? I said, no, as it is, I'm overdrawn on my bank account every month. There's no way I can pay the mortgage. They said, then we're going to have to foreclose. I said, then do it. What else can you do, right? I knew financially my life was getting fucked. And I was like, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get sued. They're going to basically sue me for whatever the difference is between what they foreclose the property, they sell the property, whatever the difference is, they're going to sue me for. I have no money to pay it. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to take my house. They're going to try to do all this shit, right? They're going to basically ruin my life.
Now, here's where we get into some fun stuff. So I've had an ongoing theory between myself, Agent Proper, and James the Lesser for a little while now. Actually, Ghostly Wins can be put in that conversation too, because I've talked to him about this a little bit. It's funny how around this little situation, right? This whole scenario, that he finds a need to marry Catherine, right? And I don't know if all 4 of us are on the same page about that now, but at one point we all agreed that the reason why, or one of the reasons, right? Let's not take away the love and the soul and the soulmate ship bullshit that people have been fed. That marrying Cat was in some way supposed to protect the Washington home, the Snort mansion, if you will, despite the fact that everything else is falling apart. Because in a really fucked up sort of way, one could surmise that Phil knew this was coming, and he knew that he was screwing himself royally. And at the end of the day, and he's told you this many times before, the only thing he really gives a shit about is the Washington Manor, right? The Snort Mansion. You know what I mean? The Piggy Palace. That's the only thing he really gives a fuck about. That's it. His relationship with Catherine, his relationship with Jasper, all of those things, and his business all relies on that house in Washington. So, if he knows he's going to take a catastrophic fucking hit on the Connecticut property, how does one insulate the very property he gives a shit about in Washington? One could make the claim through his wife. If you think about it, the timing on that is really, really convenient. Now, granted, my theory, or my part of that thesis, has kind of expanded over that period of time. I'm sure it has with all of those individuals as well. But I still like staying close to that because that is very peculiar. And now, And now with this whole bankruptcy situation going on too, well, the foreclosure and the bankruptcy, things are getting kind of rough, ladies and gentlemen. Things are getting kind of rough.
I said, let's see what can we do. So I started considering different options and things, and started talking with various different people. And basically, I had a backup plan / a new plan for moving forward, and I started working on that since the summer of 2019. Okay. Problem was, you know, all of my bills, my credit cards and everything were screaming at me.
And you guys can kind of see why. I can kind of see why some of you want me to watch the Almighty Tevin version of this, but why also I should watch the full version, because there's things that are kind of missing. Like, what was that summertime plan? You know what I mean? Because if you remember, the build up to him and Catherine getting married last year was the fact that mommy and daddy were dying. So in truth, mommy, and I've said this from the beginning, and I still stick to it no matter how egregious it sounds. The only thing he's really kind of praying for now, to be honest, for financial independence to some degree, is mommy and daddy dying. That's really kind of where everything's at, because that's where the last bit of his wealth, air quotes, is locked into, his parents. Despite the fact that his cousin, one of his cousins, the one who was raised with him, the one who her parents were apparently addicts and she sadly grew up to be an addict herself, she is probably going to be tied into that. She's going to be probably tied into that inheritance, because that particular cousin, I should say, is Phil's father's brother's daughter. You know what I'm saying? And they basically raised her as their own. So it would only make sense that they left her something too. And Phil has done a very good job over the decade plus bleeding his parents out of that inheritance. Even though they live in the middle of the fucking ghetto and they don't have no money, or they're not rich, but yet they can send this idiot money month after month after month after month after month. We don't know the amounts, but we have to assume that they're decent amounts. We're talking at least a couple of thou. And they did this for years, because a couple of hundred wouldn't help him if you think about it. So, no, let's remix that and put it in subtitles or something. It's very possible that at first, when it comes to begging his parents, it started off as a couple of hundred a month. But over the years, it ended up gradually becoming a couple of thousand. So he's been bleeding his parents pretty good for over a decade. And like I said, when their times finally come, he's waiting for the gusto. He's going to find out, similar to what allegedly ended up happening with his aunt, the one who used to live in his condo, is that she ran out of money pretty fast because she was getting up there in age. She was really, really sick, and she didn't give a fuck and whatnot. I think he's going to find out too that he bled his parents pretty good, and there really just isn't anything left. He's going to find out the hard way, though.
Safe zone.
It was funny because my aunt, who passed away a couple of years ago, my mom thought that my aunt actually was like rich and had a bunch of money saved up. And then when her last couple of years, she had been staying in like assisted living. She was really elderly and messed up with all kinds of health problems. And assisted living contacted my mom and said, "Are you aware that your aunt has no money and there's nothing to pay for the assisted living anymore? That all her money's gone?" And my mom's like, "What?" And she looked into it, and basically, she never even, like, tracked anything. So she had money, but she didn't know how much. She just didn't care. Because I guess she was getting sick, and near the end of her life, she just didn't give a shit. So she never paid attention to it. And come to find out, all her money basically was eaten away by healthcare costs by the end of her life. So, you know, no one, to my knowledge, no relatives of mine or whatever has any money or anything like that.
And I think that's going to make it even more amusing. So he's waiting for the big payday. And in actuality, the payday might not even be there. Just something to think about. DSP News.
Put you in collections. We're going to do this if you don't start paying. So basically, every month I was trying to maintain minimum payment on everything to keep everyone happy. All right. And not have everyone trying to rip my fucking head off and sue me for money I owed them. While I was still trying to maintain the business, buying the games for the business, paying the internet, paying the electricity, all that stuff, right? It was a nightmare.
I'm going to need your guys' help. I really am. I'm going to need your support. I need it.
If you remember, one month, I can't remember what month it was probably October, November, I did a special stream where I said I need to do a fundraiser to raise funds, because if I keep these funds going, I can keep my financial obligations and keep a plan on course to keep going the way that I want it to go. And you guys did help me with that, and I did stay on course. I'm about to tell you exactly what that plan was for the first time ever right now on the stream, okay?
Well, first off, didn't you say the exact same thing about the fundraiser before you left to Connecticut? You remember? You guys remember that, right? The $2,200 he was basically able to raise before he went and got married? Are you talking about that, Phil? Are you talking... What happened to the $2,100 from Jasper when you came home? Remember when you unveiled Jasper and you got that $2,100? What happened to that money? So that's $4,000 plus right there in the span of a week. In the span of a week. Where's all that money? Not on top of those special little events, because there was more than one that he had throughout the 2019 year, even the 2018 year, which yet again coincides with that WWE thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yikes.
finally going to have the whole skinny on what's been going on with me and wondering what the hell was that all about, that random fundraiser he had to do in the fall. You're going to find out right now, okay? But everything I've told you is true.
But what was the cover? Wait a second. You're going to find out the skinny about that right now, but didn't you say you needed the money for taxes or overdrafts? It was something like that in the fall. Because remember, Phil pays his taxes every quarter. Ooh, yeah, now that I think about it, doesn't Phil say he has to pay his taxes every quarter? Wasn't that fundraiser in the fall for that? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Apparently that might have been a lie now. Well, let us continue.
In 2019, I ever told you, whenever I said I was overdrawn on my bank account, 100% truth. When I told you I needed to raise money, whether it was for taxes or something really quickly, it was 100% true. It's just that I didn't feel that it was safe to publicly
When I told you about this, 100% true. When I told you about this, it was 100% true. The problem is, but the issue was I had to, and then let me pick up my ear here, because that's a nice tell that I'm about to lie. Just in case you guys haven't picked that up yet. The Tevin and LSB have, or at least the people in their streams, I should say, have picked up on that multiple times. So I like how I told you the truth about this. I told you the truth about this. I had to skew the truth about this part, though, but I'm going to explain to you guys why in a minute. But the first 2 times I told you guys the truth. Keep that in mind.
Close the information until right now, because right now the gears are in motion and we're at a point where it makes sense. Okay? Now, let's talk. And by the way, I never said the house thing wasn't true, Music Records. You're a fucking idiot. I never said that the condo thing in Connecticut wasn't true at all. Never. Not once. I never even addressed it. You don't know what the hell you're
a liar. He banned the fuck out of people for that shit. People definitely got sent to ban world for that shit. All day. People got sent for ban world for that. So, no. So yeah, he's blatantly lying about that. Blatantly. I'm sure if one was inclined to do so, you could go into his chat logs over the last couple of weeks and you could see where the bans are for those things. So, yeah. There was plenty of people who got sent to ban world, or it was, as usually, those when new things are uncovered, it's a detractor meme. So let's keep it 100 on that.
Talking about. You're a complete idiot. Okay.
Well, I think I'm toxic now.
Look at all this nonsense and all these idiots. You guys are all morons. Like, every single person in the stream chat right now is saying, well, you said that wasn't true. The whole story about the foreclosure wasn't true. I never said that at all. You will never find that in a video. You will never find that at all. I'll say the detractors are talking about nonsense, and I'm not gonna address it until I'm ready. But I never once said that thing wasn't true. Not once. I just wasn't ready to talk about it until I had all the information for you, which I now have. Okay? Which I told you many times. I said if I was gonna tell you about it, I'm gonna tell you about it when I have all the information, and it makes sense. In fact,
imagine living your life like this, in the public eye, dependent on other people daily, and you're blatantly lying. You know you're blatantly lying. But you're going to literally try to steamroll, you know what I'm saying, your narrative in. Despite the fact that there are multiple people in your chat right now who are going against that, being like, you're lying to us. We know that you said that you weren't going to talk about this, or people got banned for it, or it was a detractor meme and you try to wave it off with your hoof, and you're still going to try to push the narrative. That's amazing. That is a level of mental gymnastics that is on some fuckery that I couldn't imagine. Which leads me to believe, and, you know, why not, that Catherine, I should say, does not know the fucking ins and outs of what's going on. She don't have all of it. I like to think, or I used to like to think, that she was complacent, at least in some of it. But she don't, and like I said, she's not completely ignorant to the majority of it. But some of this shit, though, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think she's complacent in. Some of this shit, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think she knows about. And and the thing is, right? Because I was on a podcast with the Jackal's Lair, Dante, Sunspot Gallery, Agent Proper. There's a couple of people on there, actually. There was a couple of people on there, and we were talking, and I think we talked about it briefly about the complacency of Catherine in some of these scenarios. And especially after that, some of this stuff I'm pretty confident that she don't have the full details on. She really don't. And that's dangerous. So if you go by that a bit of logic, right? Like I said, Agent Proper was on there, so I'm sure you've heard about it in one of the and one of the Pigrush files coming up, if not, it's already out, that this is that type of ignorance, if you will, or that type of miscommunication or lack of communication is how he's going to try to pincher her, I should say, into signing her name onto that foreclosure with him, because he thinks that's going to be a lighter blow if he can get his wife in on that. But then again, if he's actually smart, he won't, so he can better protect the house. That's just going to become very, very interesting later on down the line. But I'm just trying to kind of show how all of the lying that he does kind of compiles on each other, and it only puts him in a worse situation moving forward. And he's just too stupid, too ignorant, or whatever option C would be, to really sit down and think, hey, how's this going to hurt me in the long term? Because he's all about short-term gains. That's all that was. Everything is short-term gains. Think about how long he's had that house, ladies and gentlemen, in Washington. Not long. Less than 7 years. Less than 7. Less than what would be considered a common law marriage if he didn't put a ring on her finger and get married at the courthouse. And there are plenty of people who bought a house and ended up losing it in less than 7 years. Just like there are plenty of businesses that start up and fail with it in under 5. He's not the exception to anything in reality. DSP News.
Many times over the months, people were asking me what happened to the condo in Connecticut, and I kind of dodged the question because I didn't have all the information. I didn't want to give you a half story of what was going on. So everyone who believed the bullshit, I mean, from those idiots, I mean, yeah, you literally only...
What are you talking about? We were right. How is it bullshit when we were right? And you're sitting here confirming this. The only reason why, or at least the active theory, the only reason why you're actually confirming it is because this WWE thing don't look good. And the reason why this WWE thing don't look good, because now, if people get into, and people have already done it, gone into those fine details on when he needed the money, and when he's playing, and when he's spending, and how much he's spending, it's starting to coincide with the money to, I need you guys to save this house. And that's why all this is coming out. That's the reality. If that WWE story, ladies and gentlemen, did not break, we wouldn't have found out about this until much later. He'd have just flipped it into a whole nother story. But he has no choice. Because, and this is just my own personal pignosis, this is my own pignosis prescription, if you will, or diagnosis. That's the word I'm looking for, diagnosis, is that WWE thing is directly tied into this foreclosure situation. Yet again, just the misappropriation of funds. And he needs to cover his tracks, and he needs to do it fast. Just saying.
You always buy in the nonsense, and then you spin it the way you want it. I literally never said that none of that was true, but people took it that I said that because you're just idiots. You probably those guys were the ones who were saying it, and everybody, Phil denied it. No, I didn't. But you just take it as that because they said.
And then you want to call these people idiots, the same people that you're trying to panhandle money out of. He's fucking amazing. Phil is fucking amazing. As a cult leader, he's amazing that you can put down people, call them idiots, call them morons, say that you guys need to have you guys need to have your own mind, I'm sorry. And you guys need to be able to think for yourselves, but don't listen to them though, listen to me. Why can't they listen to us and then come to their own conclusion? Why can't they listen to both groups? Oh no, don't listen to them, they're all liars. Just listen to me, only me. But that goes against the pignosis when you told them to be free thinkers and make decisions on their own. Well, no, they have to listen to me though, because I'm going to tell them the truth. But Phil, you admitted that you had to lie to them to protect your family. Yeah, I did. But yet again, you guys should still listen to me though, because I did it to protect my family, and you guys love me and my family. You know, my wife, Kat, and my stepson, Jasper. I need them for my business. I mean, for my life. Because we have a great life here. And for my business. You see what I'm saying? Wild shit, bruh. Wild shit.
So I guess there's no fucking mods here today. So I guess I have to ban a bunch of people myself.
In typical cult leader fashion, you're not gonna go ahead and feed into the pignosis? Oh, you wanna have free thought on something else? Oh, take them out back and go ahead and dispose of them. That's basically what that is. This is Mussolini and Hitler taking those who they perceive as betrayers or pushing some type of propaganda that goes against his, take them out back and shoot them. That's basically what this is. That's what banning is, for the most part. And then he uses his magical snort, his divine snort, if you will, to resurrect them. And then that's why Third Eye the Third is still running around free. One wanted to look at it that way.
Love coming to work today. When I used to play a game, man, I gotta find a way to make this boring ass fucking game entertaining, so I just gotta make stupid sexual comments the entire time I played the game. It was a chore. Now I actually get to enjoy what I do for a living. It's very different. But basically, eventually, I sat down and I saw a lawyer and talked to the lawyer, and the lawyer said, you know, with your situation, you know, there's really no way out besides declaring bankruptcy.
Like, there's no way. How are you going to get out of not only owing all this debt that you have behind the scenes through credit cards and loans, but now you've got a home that you can't pay for and they're going to foreclose on you. Chances are they're going to sue you for the money that you owe. And he's like, looking at your income is inconsistent but good. Like, my income's always been good. The problem is... Wait.
How? And I want you guys to really think about this for a minute, okay? Don't think too hard because it's supposed to be entertainment. But think about this for a minute. How is good and inconsistent supposed to pair up into a sentence? I want you to think about that for a minute. How is good and inconsistent supposed to pair up in a sentence? Okay, now, let's go ahead and take that and let's remix it. Your income is good, but inconsistent. Inconsistent is a negative. Inconsistent means that it's not stable. So how is being not stable good? Is that why you find it to be okay that your mom and dad were cheating on each other for God knows how long and they were throwing you into the middle of that scenario? Was that a good situation, Phil? Was that a good scenario? Is that how you justify losing one fiance to go ahead and bring another fiance in? Shit. I mean, goddamn, less than a year later? Is that a good thing? Because that seems very inconsistent too. So yet again, I want someone to explain to me how having an inconsistent income is a good thing. Just throwing it out there. Just, you know. You know, I'm a peach man myself, but you know, maybe some of y'all like pears, slightly rotted pears, but pears nonetheless.
Debts are getting worse because these are all revolving debts. These are credit card debts that are getting bigger and bigger every year because I can't pay them down. You know, it's just getting worse and worse every moment. So basically, what ended up happening was I saw a bankruptcy lawyer, and we went through a lot of information. A lot, you know, it's been a very arduous process, to say the least, okay? Going through so much different stuff. And during, it's hilarious. It really is. During my initial meetings with this bankruptcy lawyer, okay, I basically explained the whole situation.
How did you have any meetings with him when that would have required you to leave the house? You mean conversations on the phone? You mean the same conversations over the phone that you couldn't have with these realtors? Because you only wanted them to email you, but you had time to get on the phone with a bankruptcy lawyer, and you didn't have any meetings with them unless this whole bullshit about getting married in Connecticut was to mask something much larger. Let me throw a scenario at you. Not a theory, certainly not a Theo theory, but let me throw something at you. What if Phil is pulling an Amberlynn Reed here and he's fucking around with the timetable? what if all this bankruptcy talk, right? All these situations with the bank and everything, what if all of that actually culminated the week that he actually was supposed to go out to Connecticut? And in actuality, instead of them going to petting zoos and all kinds of other silly shit, Phil, most of that day, was running around, probably with his dad, going to the bank, going to this lawyer, and doing this, that, and the third, and trying to figure out how he's going to get all this squared away. And they just kind of figured out a way to finagle getting married to Catherine in between all that. Would anybody consider that a possibility? Because the timeline seems a bit wonky. It seems to be a little bit off, and it would lead one to believe that maybe it's just not very consistent.
I got into the situation I'm in. You're like, how did you have this amount of income those years, and all of a sudden your income went down because of this? And I explained, because trolls and all this.
I make mistakes. I'm a fallible human. But most of the things that happened to me, I didn't do anything wrong. What did I do wrong? Nothing. Zero. I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct. This is a situation where, once again, I've done absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever, and I'm getting punished like I did, you know?
Huh? So I explained, I'm an internet personality. I have people who harass me on a daily basis and totally make shit up and all of that. And they're like, wow, I can't imagine. Now, this is, a lawyer who has no exposure to the whole internet lifestyle of when you're an internet personality, a complete outsider. And just matter-of-factly explaining the facts of the situation of what's going on with me in my daily life. This person is like speechless, flabbergasted. This is what you go through every day? I'm like, yeah. Like, every fucking day of my life, this is what I go through. My wife, gets attacked on a daily basis. Has nothing to do with any of this, okay? It's pretty fucked up.
As soon as the bank formally filed for the foreclosure on me for this property in Connecticut, immediately the trolls find it and post it all over the internet. It's Tevin's fault.
Right? It was like the day of. It wasn't even like a delay. So these idiots literally sit there refresh to find this information about me. It's insane. But they found it, okay? Now, I said to the bankruptcy attorney, do you think that I should disclose to my viewers that bankruptcy, that I'm going to be, trying to file for bankruptcy? And they said, well, basically the way it works is it's an arduous process. I needed to get all this information together. Obviously, I had to make a payment to the bankruptcy lawyer to do the work and for the filing and all of that to make it all happen. And basically, they said, it's at your own discretion, but this might be something that you want to be proactive about and nip in the butt publicly first. Be the person to break it to everyone on the internet what's going on with you, rather than just have it be another thing that's going to be sprung. The thing was, we didn't know exactly when the mortgage company was going to foreclose on me. We were waiting. We actually wanted them to do it as soon as possible, because as soon as they foreclose, immediately once they take ownership of the property, I don't owe that condo association in Connecticut any money anymore. I can stop paying them. And in fact, if a foreclosure is going on when a bankruptcy proceeding happens, the bankruptcy proceeding can hold up the foreclosure proceeding significantly. All right? Very significantly. Okay? So, the truth of the matter was, there was no perfect time to tell anyone about anything on the internet, because we didn't know how things were going to go, or anything like that. Okay? So for 3 months, guys, behind the scenes, I've been working with a bankruptcy attorney to basically file for bankruptcy, so that primarily the real reason I had to do it is because I'm probably going to get sued by this mortgage company when they foreclose on this property, which they're doing right now, and they take it away out of my name and they sell it. There's no way they're going to make the $100,000 on the sale that they would make, that they need to pay off the mortgage. They're going to probably make 50, 60 grand, and they're going to say I owe them some crazy amount of money, like $40,000, $50,000, and I have no way to pay them. I'm already so bad and behind on debt, I can't fucking make my regular monthly payments on anything. How the hell am I going to afford to pay that, right? So, primarily, the bankruptcy that I'm doing is to protect myself from being sued and losing my house, okay? But in addition to that, I have an exorbitant amount of debt in my name from all the stuff from the move out here and everything. And again, for years, trying to juggle all that debt and make it work, and it never worked because the trolls would never leave me alone. They always found a way to consistently fuck with my income over and over and over the years.
Well, that's the pigeonhole you put yourself in. That was your active choice, and that's your fault. And instead, look in the mirror and realize you're the one who did this to yourself. And maybe if you were just honest with yourself, you wouldn't be so miserable. There you go.
and I never got level again. And then when I thought I would get level, oh, your tax attorney fucked you over in Connecticut. Now you owe thousands of dollars to the state of Washington. Then because of that, now I'm behind on my federal taxes. It was just a never-ending wave after wave after wave of stuff that fucked me over financially. And I could never get back to being square. So because of all of that, okay, because of all of that, all right.
Bankruptcy is like the only solution, okay?
The good news here is, from what the bankruptcy attorney has told me, you know, if I qualify for the bankruptcy, which apparently I very much do, like, once looking at all the facts, it's like, holy shit, yes, you qualify for this. I'm going to keep my house, okay? And basically, the mortgage, whatever's going to happen with that place in Connecticut happens, and I'm not responsible for it anymore. It gets out of my name, and that's the end of that, and I won't be able to get sued for whatever the deficit is or whatever. I'll be completely exonerated from that. In addition, it's looking like one of two options is going to happen. It's not clear what's going to happen yet. Either all of my existing unsecured debt is going to get wiped out and go to zero, but my credit will be utterly destroyed for a decade. Meaning I will never be able to get a loan. I will never have a credit card. Nothing. No credit whatsoever for a decade. Essentially, it's getting destroyed. And then in a decade, I start at ground zero, like starting over. Or they're going to put me on what's considered a payment plan. Meaning they're going to...
Okay. Sorry, I got sidetracked there just briefly. What the fuck? Yeah, might come at you fast. Okay. When it comes to this whole thing about the bankruptcy and he's going to walk away clean and clear, not necessarily, depending on what chapter he ends up filing under, what he qualifies for, to be honest, to some degree. Which I don't even think he has the details on that, because he's already telling you guys about the end game. He's not even telling you about the steps to lead up to that end game. And the payment plan thing that he's talking about now, it could be, I was talking to Agent Proper about this, that could be a whole lot worse than what he's actually letting on. If they come in and they have to, look at it this way, he's supposed to be a business, right? So when a business has to go ahead and file for bankruptcy, they still have to pay that money back. So what's going to end up, and he's not thinking about that. What they might have to do is come in and restructure his business. And how do you restructure a business? You restructure its spending. If they come in and do that, it's not a payment plan. It's basically, hey, this is how much of your income you're permitted to spend each month. Make do with it. And Phil don't work well under those conditions. That means every new game that comes out, he'd have to justify in writing to them why he needs this new game. And he can't even, and he would have to do that, I would say, weeks out. And even then, it wouldn't guarantee he would get the new release when it comes out. He would, if you think about it, and that's going through that form of bankruptcy, which I think is chapter, is that chapter 11? Or is that chapter 7, or is that chapter 14 or 17? One of the two, or one of the three. But whichever chapter that is, if he has to go through that, then he's going to be dependent more than ever on that Amazon wish list. More than ever. On top of that, he may not be so eager to go ahead and beg for tips now, because all that shit gets taxed. Whatever he spends, hey, you owe us a cut of this. Oh, I already spent it. Oh, no, you're not listening. You owe us a cut of that, whether you spent it or not. He's only going to get himself in even more trouble if it comes down to that. He's thinking it's going to be quick and easy, and it's not. He has no idea how bad this roller coaster is about to get. It's about to get really, really, really bad. He has no inkling, because he just wants a way out. Like a rat in a lot of ways. He wants a simple way out. He doesn't care how he gets there as long as he gets there. And then he cries and complains later about all the consequences that go along with it.
They're going to say, okay, you owe this amount of money, and we're going to put you on a plan that you pay a certain amount of money for the rest of your life, essentially, until it's paid off. But this money is based on how much money you make and how much money you owe in taxes and stuff. So basically what they would do is say, okay, you make this much money, you pay your utilities, you pay, you know, this, that, all that, then you pay your taxes. After you've paid all the essentials that are important, then we figure out what you have left, and that's what we figure out would be going to the debts that you owe, okay? Now, it's not 100% sure at all what's going to happen here, at all. It could go one way, it could go the other. I don't know which one would be better. Either way, it screws me over. And essentially what this does, okay, is it puts me at a position where I have absolutely nothing to fall back on. So, for example, let's say this bankruptcy goes through, which it looks like it's going to. I get really sick, right? For some reason, I get really sick and I have to go to the doctor. And I go to the doctor, I end up in the hospital or needing treatments or whatever. And I get insane medical bills. I can't get a loan. There's no credit card. There's no way I can pay for it. And I'm fucked. Okay? Or, you know, anything, basically anything comes up. Something blows up in my house and I need to afford an appliance or something. I don't have money for it, right? Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to, is that I'm now seriously at the point where, because I have to do this, that's going to be my life for the next 10 years, you know?
Ayúdame, por favor. Es muy importante. Please tip me. Tipping helps me more than anything right now. You know, that gives those funds I can put toward there.
And it's funny because idiots, okay, will spin stuff, okay? Idiots will spin stuff that, in regards to, you know, what's going on with this, they'll say, well, if Phil declares bankruptcy, that means he doesn't owe anything to anyone. So, see, Phil won't need any more contributions on streams, and Phil won't need any support from his fans any longer. If he says that he needs help, he's lying to you. That is 100% ignorance about how bankruptcy works. It's actually completely the opposite situation. I need your support more than ever before, because whatever I make, it has to go towards the direct bills, taxes. I owe a ton of back taxes right now. This month, I'm trying to make a payment to catch up on state taxes. And then I have to figure out how the hell do I pay my federal taxes that I did not pay last year again. And chances are, I would almost guarantee they're probably not going to put me on another payment plan. I would think they might put a lien on my house, or they might do I don't know what they're going to do. You know, it's a bad situation. And even with the bankruptcy going through, I'm not clear because of the tax situation. I'm behind on everything. I need to catch up on everything that I'm behind on before I can even consider, oh, I'm square. Okay, so the truth of the matter is that chances are, if this does go through, I'm going to lose a lot of the stuff in the house that I don't need. For example, you know all those statues and shit that I've got in the storage nook? I give all that up. I say, this might be worth something if you sell it. I don't need it. It's not something I actively use. You know, it's not an appliance that I need to live. Here's a bunch of shit that I don't need. Take it. You know, take all this.
No. In liquidation, it doesn't... They're going to go for everything. He thinks... He wants them to take... He wants them to take all the shit that he don't need. They're gonna go for everything. Any game consoles that he's not really using, and let's be honest, if that can be auctioned off for a pretty penny, it's gonna be able. They're gonna take it. The games, someone's gonna cut. They can get someone to appraise those games. Oh shit, he's got games here that are worth quite a bit of money. Oh, game collection is getting taken. He doesn't have a say so in those things. Especially if he's gonna be like, oh, well, I was gonna do a playthrough of it. It's still wrapped in plastic, Mr. Burnell. But I was gonna shit. Oh, also, Mr. Burnell, we're looking at some of your financial statements here. Didn't you buy the remaster of this on PSN or Xbox, respectfully? They're gonna liquidate everything. He thinks they're gonna take statues and shit. They'll take everything that he has, that they can sell, that he's not using. They will liquidate everything from him for the most part. And so that game collection that people have been wanting to buy from him, and he don't want to sell, he don't want to part with, gone. You know what I'm saying? Anything that he has that is in any way, shape, or form that can be sold off in any type of way, shape, or in any way or shape, gone. All that shit. He don't need it. It can go. That CM Punk plaque and whatnot, number whatever. If some money can be made off of it, it's going to get auctioned off. Wealthy people have had to give up fine pieces of art before. Obviously, Phil doesn't have art, and it doesn't have fine pieces of art. But if it can fetch some money, it's going to get sold. He talking about broken fucking statues, when in actuality, they're going to take everything. Just about. Like I said, anything that doesn't affect his way of living and his business is going to get sold off. Unrealistic motherfucker.
Junk that's been sitting around that I haven't been able to sell for years. Please, by all means. And the thing is, there's not much in my house.
All those props that he had from Project 7 sold off. They're gonna get all that. They're gonna take all of that. If it can be sold for something, it's gonna get sold.
Could do most of the stuff that's valuable is in this office for the business. That's protected under bankruptcy filing.
Yeah, but you're getting the games in that game collection that's in that nook or that's in your closet or those old PCs, those aren't protected because you don't need those for business because you're not using them for business. And he'd have a hard time justifying it either. And the thing is, in a liquidation, they come in and they categorize everything. Everything. Nothing is gonna be off limits.
It's really only the things that are considered superfluous in the collections, jewelry, that kind of shit, that they can actually take. Why am I telling you this publicly?
I really desperately need the money. I need money. Well, I need money.
Alright, so the good news is, with what's going on right now, alright, here's the truth of the matter. The good news is, the stuff that's essential will be protected. My house is protected. Everything I need for the business in here is protected. All my stuff in the house, like appliances, basic stuff like that, should be protected. It's only things that are considered superfluous things, like the crazy amount of stuff in my storage nook that I don't need, that kind of stuff, okay? So there you go. That's the kind of stuff that maybe is up for grabs. Maybe some others, I don't know. Like, are they going to try to take my worn out 6-year-old couch that's now has, you know, indentations and has been lived on? They could potentially, but if they take my couch, I don't know how I sit anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know the extent of what's going to actually happen with this bankruptcy. We haven't gotten to that far yet. We're to the point where we're trying to determine exactly what kind of bankruptcy it's going to be and go from there and all that stuff. So it is what it is. But it's going through now. It's a process that takes a few months. Chances are it probably won't be official until, you know, like the spring. But, you know, this is basically going to get to a point where now, here's what I need to worry about stuff. I need to worry about paying the utilities, paying the, you know, taxes, all my other ongoing obligations, like, for example, my car loan doesn't get wiped. I'm keeping my car, so my car loan I have to keep paying, stuff like that. Obviously, the mortgage on this house I have to keep paying properly. The cost of everything for the business, so the cost of internet, games, and all that I have to keep paying. And then, on top of that, find a way to pay the taxes properly, because I'm so behind on taxes. That has to be, like, my main focus, is once all the other debts are wiped out, the condo in Connecticut's wiped out, you know, the credit cards, the loans, all of those are gone, and my credit's completely ruined, which it will be for about 10 years. All right? Then I would have to catch up on these taxes. Alright? So, that's the deal. The thing that sucks about this is something that obviously I would have wanted to fix myself. Over the years, remember, I kept talking about, oh, I want to refinance the house. Because the truth of the matter is, this house has equity in it. But because I have so much debt in my name, no one will refinance my house.
Help!
I strongly urge all of you, moving forward, stop fucking listening to the nonsense from the people who spin it in a way that it's not true. Because I'm filing for bankruptcy, or I have filed for bankruptcy, doesn't mean that I now have unlimited fun. I have no debts and unlimited funds, and I'm good. Like, what needs to happen? I need to basically get the same kind of support I've been getting on streams or better, and then what I can do is work on putting that money towards the right stuff, like getting out of the debt that I'm in with these taxes, getting these taxes paid to the point where I can pay my taxes properly every month, like I'm supposed to be doing, and basically getting back on track. The good news here is, if this works out the way that the bankruptcy attorney is explaining to me, alright, by the middle to late 2020, I should be able to get back on track, hopefully start getting caught up with the taxes, and then, instead of it always being, oh my god, now I'm overdrawn or this and that, everything's okay in that regard, and, you know, maybe even start turning stuff around in a positive way, you know? People always ask, can you upgrade your equipment? Can you do this or that? No, there's no fucking way I could do that now. But give it a year. If all the debts are wiped out and I'm caught up on my taxes and everything's good, things could potentially get better again, you know?
Help!
And then, when we do a special stream and I raise a bunch of money out of nowhere, wow, I could put that towards something positive on the streams. Rather than, wow, that has to go pay a back debtor that I've owed for a month.
Wait. Oh. Okay, so now we're gonna wait until we have nothing. We're going to wait until everything's been taken away from us, right? If you're a pay piggy, this is what you're thinking. And then, and only then, once everything is gone, when you guys are literally at the when you guys are literally back against the corner, your baby backs are literally on the grill, being basted by a cute pup in a sharp suit, that now he wants to do fundraisers. And if enormous amounts of money are raised, he wants to put that back into the streams. He wants to put that back into the business. All those years, or the last couple years, that people have been asking him for, hey, why don't you use the the green screen in the garage. Hey, why don't you up your camera quality? Hey, why don't you up the quality of this and that and up the quality of that to make the streams better? No, not going to do it. Nope, don't need to. Nope, this works for what I need. You guys don't need to see my face in better clarity. You know, you guys are really supposed to be focused on the gameplay. He waved all that off. Now he looks at this as a golden opportunity for you guys to actually do something. For you guys to now invest in him so he can now invest back into the business when he has nothing left. That's insane. That's insane. That's what that's come down to.
And in particular, okay, that stream that I did, I think it was in November. It was a special stream I did to raise some funds, and it was for an emergency. I told you guys I really need to catch up with a financial obligation to keep me on pace. That obligation was I needed to pay my mortgage. That month, I was so overdrawn on everything, I couldn't even pay my fucking mortgage here. And I was told by my bankruptcy attorney, you need to stay current on your mortgage on your house. If you don't, and then we file, it could screw everything up. You need to get caught up on that mortgage so that now everything's good and you can stay on pace for the bankruptcy and nothing will get screwed up. So that's actually what that was for. I had to catch up on the mortgage in order to stay on pace to file for the bankruptcy, okay? So that's what's going on with me.
Help!
My hope is that everything goes through fine, alright? One or the two bankruptcies I qualify for, whichever, who cares, doesn't matter, right? Either one is fine in my opinion. And whatever I qualify for works, and now, say within 1-2 years, yeah, it's going to be tight financially, it already is, but say within 1-2 years, now, I can basically get myself on pace for that plan I talked about with my mother when I went to Connecticut. The plan was that I was going to eventually phase out of full-time being a streamer. If I don't have exorbitant debts to the point where I have to make a lot of money on stream to pay all those exorbitant debts, if I can make a little bit less money streaming, I can have time now to try to seek out a part-time job.
This shocks me.
Have employment in person and also online, and split the time between the two. And then eventually maybe I could flip it so then I have the job half and the streaming half. You see what I mean? That would be kind of, I don't want to say it's an escape plan because I'm not looking to go anywhere. I love streaming. But everyone knows there's no way I can continue to do this full time for the rest of my life. Third Eye the Third Cheer says, when you go from full-time to part-time streaming because you have a real job, what is going to stop trolls from fucking with that new job? Thing is, I don't know. What I would have to do potentially is go into the new job, they interview me, and I tell them, here's the deal. This is what I've done for 10, 15, 20, however long, many years I've done it by then. There's an internet following that harasses me. So as long as we can keep my information off the internet, we should be alright. But, you're right. It might be a situation where things get screwed up. I don't know. Third Eye, I couldn't tell you.
Look at this. He literally, well, Third Eye's trolling him, but Phil has literally said this before when it comes to getting a real job, that, I can't do it because I'll never make more money doing what I'm doing if I try to go and do something else. But now, well, not now, but lately, he's been trying to throw on the extra caveat that, oh, well, I can't afford to do that because who knows if these guys will come and find me in real life. We already know where you're at. If someone was going to bring this fight to your doorstep, they had already done it by now. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't be wrong. I'm not saying that he's not going to get, it's not possible that he doesn't get the low-tier God treatment and they start messing with his job. If any of you guys have followed low-tier God to any degree, you know what I'm talking about. Because he's gotten hit with that. I mean, yet again, you live by the sword, you die by it, kinda. I don't condone anybody fucking with him fucking with his actual job like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's off the internet. You know what I'm saying? And then he doesn't want to do that anyway, because he can't get anything else except for minimum wage or entry level. And it won't take long for people to find out what he is and what he's done anyway. He's not, he doesn't really have any choices, if you think about it.
These people are so insane and malicious. They've told me for years, get a real job, stop streaming. If I did it, they'd probably go harass me at the real job. So I don't know. That's something that you tackle when you get to it, right? I couldn't tell you what's going to happen.
And see, it's that type of mindset is the reason why he's at where he's at now. Oh, well, we'll have to just tackle it when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. You can't do that with everything. You can do that with most things. You can get away with it for a little while doing it like that, but you can't do it for everything. And that's what's going to get him fucked up. Well, he's already fucked up, but that's the reason why he's fucked up. This is what happens when you wait till the last goddamn minute. This is Mr. Oh, I could have kept paying all my bills or paying all my obligations if I was making the money that I was supposed to be making. Well, Who said that you were entitled to make that money with minimum effort, minimum time involved, maximum profit? He pissed away, and I mean this when I say this, in a serious note. He pissed away every single opportunity he ever had. Any good opportunity that was ever presented to him, he figured out a way to fuck it up. And now look at him. And now he's sitting there saying, the reason why the thing with the condo in Connecticut is fucking up is because I was making this amount of money for this amount of time, and I thought I'd always would be, and I all of a sudden stopped making that, and now everything's all fucked up. No, it's all fucked up because you didn't plan. It's all fucked up because you didn't put effort into it. It's all fucked up because the people who trusted, well, the people who enjoyed you, which is hard to believe that people did, but the people who enjoyed you and your content told you, Phil, please change. We want to keep supporting you. We want to keep watching your garbage, but you have to change. No, I don't have to change. I'm going to keep doing this. This is what makes me fucking unique. This is what makes me special. This right here is a dying art, and I don't have to give it up. If you want to go and watch everybody in their fluff and all their highly edited bullshit, go ahead. You're an idiot for that. But for everybody else who are true fans, they stay here. He divided his fan base. He divided his viewership. All those people who told him stop uploading 30 to 50 goddamn videos a day, he didn't want to hear that. Oh, watch what you can. Watch what you can. It's not my fault that that shit is clogging up your inbox. Just watch what you can. Unsub and still watch. And that fucked him over too. That's why he never hit 200,000 subs. That's why he never hit 250,000 subs. All he wanted was the views. He didn't give a fuck about an actual followership, if you will. Even though he is a cult leader, he didn't give a shit about that. He just wanted the views. He wanted the easy money. He wanted the quick money. He wanted short-sighted money. And look at where it got him. So anybody out there who wants to say, well, look at what he's done over a decade. Yeah, look at where it got him. It don't really mean anything if there's no longevity to it. It doesn't matter that he's been around for 10 plus years and he's about to lose everything and he's about to be back at square one. It doesn't really mean that 10 years didn't really mean much, did it? And I see that argument a lot. And I don't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But this is the reality. So how much is that 10 years really worth? Or 10 plus years? What was it really worth if he's about to lose everything? And I say about to lose everything. You see what I'm saying?
Finally get to that road. Boss Hog did a 50-bit cheer and asked a really stupid question, but I'll still address it. This is a serious question. If you're having money issues, why don't you downgrade from your gated community house to an apartment? Okay, I'll answer this two reasons why. Actually, 3 reasons why. Number 1, this is my established house with my business in it. I work out of this room. This is established how my business works. To move would disrupt the business. It would actually mean weeks to months of disrupted income where I couldn't pay my financial obligations, including anything I owe in this bankruptcy or back taxes. So actually moving from this home to another home is a disruptive procedure that would screw everything up and take things off pace. It doesn't make sense. Number 2, if I were to move to an apartment, I need to have a credit check. My credit is in shambles. No one's going to want me in their apartment when my credit is awful. So that's number 2. Number 3, most apartments cost about as much as what I pay for this house. I'm not exaggerating there or whatever. The payment that I make on this home a month is about what I would pay if I had an apartment in this area. No exaggeration or lie. So there would be no savings at all. All that I would make is whatever the equity is in my house. When I sell it, I'd have a little bit of money, and that would maybe help a little bit, but it would be instantaneously destroyed. I would have nothing else building when I move to an apartment. Basically, there's like multiple reasons it makes no fucking logical sense. And idiots that just say, just move, just sell your house, you're morons.
I don't have items for.
And the thing is that guy wasn't wrong. He needs the downsize. He can still. He can do everything he's doing now in an apartment. He doesn't need a fucking 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for a fucking family for him, his wife, and his cat. He doesn't need that. He wants it because it solidifies, in his words, his success. But he doesn't need it. And trust me, if whatever the bankruptcy, the parameters of the bankruptcy that he ends up signing to, hopefully he reads it, ends up going with, if they force him to downsize, then guess what? They're going to force him to downsize. There won't be, he can sit there and talk about, you know, you're a fucking idiot and this, that, and the third now. But when the choice is out of his hands and it's in somebody else's hands, and they don't give a fuck about your excuses, they don't give a fuck about your reasoning, they don't give a fuck about whatever else that you want to say to convince them, and say, Mr. Burnell, This is what you're going to do. Do it. He can cry and complain all he wants in that person's office, but he's just another number at that point. Bring the next person in.
To get rid of toxic. So I can't cure toxic. So what I'm thinking is once we get actual concrete information about the release of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, if they have like entries on Amazon, maybe I'll update my Amazon wish list for that so that we can get those locked in, and maybe some generous person or two will jump in and try to finance that so that I can be sure have those for launch. No decency, no respect, no common sense, no fucking maturity. It's called, give me money.
The stupidity here is someone. Well, is there a nugget of truth about the WWE mobile games? There was another game called WWE Champions, and I only played it casually. That was the game that I kind of like casually grinded in and just played on and off as a free-to-play game. When Kat moved in 2018, I quit all mobile games.
Mobile games are money sinks. You'll put money into it, you put time into it and money into it, and you don't get anything really out of it unless you're constantly keep playing and sinking more money into it. That's the truth of the matter.
Now, these idiots want me to show you my accounts and everything. How the fuck am I going to do that? So I show you on my screen, oh, that's not your account, that's someone else's. Or I show you on my screen, oh, look, that's a name we didn't know. Now let's go scour the internet for other times Phil used that fucking name and other things so we can find other accounts that he's done and hack other accounts and get more personal information. Fuck you. Alright, I've had enough of this shit. I seriously am tired. Every little fucking thing in my life being microanalyzed by a bunch of no-life, worthless, disgusting, toxic, do-nothing, ne'er-do-wells who will never ever have a shred of fucking positivity in their lives. They live in their fucking Paris basements, they hide from real life, and they do this shit anonymously on the internet because they can get away with it. If they didn't get away with it in real life, they would all hide like the cowards they fucking are. No. Fuck off. Stop fucking with me and every little thing that I say and do and twisting it into something it's not. Stop trying to take information from 3-4 years ago and turn it into something now that it's not to ruin me. I'm tired of this shit. Really, it gets to the point where I get so fucking frustrated and it just is pent up pain inside of me because any little thing that I say and do on a stream can be construed into something that it's not.
Salud.
Or that something nasty can be made out of something that I did innocently years ago, and now you're gonna somehow try to fuck with me, and I know, because I know.
You didn't do shit innocently years ago. You knew better. You should have known better. And whatnot. You should have known better. You were, when I want you guys to think about it too, when we talk about 10 plus years ago or whatever, this idiot was in his late 20s. He wasn't 17 or 18. He wasn't even in his early 20s. He was in his late 20s. He should have known better. Literally fresh up and out of his parents' house.
I know exactly what happens. If I show you an account on my phone, oh my god, now we got something else on him. Use that name, scour the. It's never going to end. It never will end. There's no, the reason I did this stream today was to get everyone caught up on stuff that was going on. I knew that talking about a foreclosure and a bankruptcy, that was public knowledge that was going to be on the internet. I knew those idiots were going to misrepresent it and lie about shit. So I went out on my best interest here and I told you guys very transparently about what's going on with that, okay? Anything else that you hear is fucking horseshit, period. If I have stuff that I feel is important to my streams or my content, or that I need to reveal to you about my personal life, I will. But all this other shit, I'm so fucking tired of hearing it. I really am. I'm just done with it. I'm done addressing it. I'm done fucking putting up with it. Enough is fucking enough. My life has been systematically fucked up year after year by people fucking with me. I can't get sponsorships. I can't get all the same opportunities every other full-time streamer gets because of you pieces of fucking shit trying to ruin my...
No, you're the one that turned down those sponsorships because you wanted to be the realest fucking guy on YouTube. You didn't need to go ahead and take the easy way out. You didn't need corporate money. You wanted to go ahead and be, you wanted to be the underdog. You wanted to be a man of the people. You did that. You pissed away and frivolously squandered away plenty of early opportunities for sponsorship. And you pissed all that away. Or pissed away most of it. The other shit that you sponsored, I don't even know why you did that. And when you look at now, think about what you've done over the years. Think about some of the shit that you've said. No company wants to touch you. And the companies that were dumb enough to do so, when someone came to them with this information, they still had a choice. They had a choice to stand by you, or they had a choice to look at the information and be like, you know what, this might not be a good look. And guess what they did? They chose that this wasn't a good look. We don't need someone like you representing our business. That's not a knock on the haters, trolls, or detractors, or whatever. That's a knock against you. That is you needing coming to the realization of what you have done and who you are. That doesn't have shit to do with anybody else. If they choose not to invest in you, that means there's something wrong with you. It's not like all of it, everything that was brought up was fabricated. It wasn't. You just didn't want that brought up. And you got fucked because of your own actions. So fuck you.
My life. Fuck you. I'm done putting up with your shit. I'm not.
Fuck you.
Entertaining for a single moment any more of your stupid bullshit. You could say anything you fucking want. I don't give a fuck. Go fuck yourself.
Get off the tip of Tevin's dick. You'll be back up there bitching and complaining about him and every other detractor and whatnot in another day or two. It's what you're good for. You have no one else. Because you're not man enough to sit there and look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I fucked myself over. And now I'm about to lose everything about it. No, it's the black dude's fault. It's the criminal's fault. It's the person who needs to go to jail's fault. It's the rest of these other kids that run around here who talk shit about me or who take my shit out of context. You're going to say, fuck you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You failed. You failed in the FGC. You failed at life in general, at every job you ever had. And now you failed at YouTube. You're going to fail at Twitch. You failed. It's time to pay the piper. You had a run. You weren't willing to work hard to keep it. You weren't willing to work hard to expand upon it. It's time to pay the devil his due. Fuck you. You failed. Live with it. Deal with it.
Okay.
Save the pig! What the heck? A pig with a party hat. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Ziggy Piggy. Save the pig, the game. The whole game you're trying to save the pig's life. Hell! Phil has indoctrinated children who send him money, blatantly milking for money. It's a money pit. It's gone, just gone like that. In an instant, fucking gone. I just care about money. I just can't help it. I eBay. Contributions are mandatory, but I need your help. I am appealing directly to you.
Alright. Sorry. Wild shit, dude. I might have to... Wow, this is just wild shit. It's just wild fucking shit. Alright, hold up. Oh, that Tevin video is gonna be fun. That Tevin video is gonna be hilarious. And then going over the whole 3 hours plus of this nonsense, that's gonna be a blast. I can't wait to do either one of those. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm saying that unironically. It should be fun though. All right, give me a chance to kind of clean up for a minute and realign, and then I'll see you guys in just a second. Holy shit! Let's pick something that helps cheer me up. Let's get something fun in here. There we go.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago, and I think about you every day. But you know, now I got a blue bike. And it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike, I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you acting all brolic, I'll start laughing and mocking like a charismatic parrot that isn't comic. Now I'm feeling like the shit, cause I'm rapping with phonics. Loose off of Jen Ricky's, perusing Sin City. Riding my Schwinn smooth like the swing of Ken Griffey. And the felt of the velvet, I said hell with a helmet. I can tell that you're jealous of the smell of the shellfish. Don't tell me I need a haircut. You can't walk.
Okay, guys. All right, I think we back in and out. Oh shit! I think we're back in and out. God darn. All right, so thank you. First off, thank you to Snort Burnell. Very much. I very much appreciate it. Thank to all of you who sat through and listened to all this nonsense. You would think, being in the spot that he's in, I'm not in his spot, and I understand the urgency that's going to go into this. I understand what he's going to lose, and 10 years just doesn't go by in the blink of an eye. Life comes at you fast, true, but you're not going to just wake up one day and a decade's going to pass by. Because if you knew that, Phil, you'd be almost 50. And I assume you're in a lot of pain when you wake up every day, you're going to be in a whole lot more pain 10 years from now. And I don't know about you, Phil, but I don't see Catherine sticking around for 10 years. Neither does Jasper. I don't see Jasper doing that either. You're literally going to be, it's about to be checkmate. You're almost at check. You played a piss poor game. You're almost at check. And then in April, I'd say April or May, when we find out how this bankruptcy and foreclosure thing goes, you're gonna be at checkmate. And then what? Ladies and gentlemen, the realization, ladies and gentlemen, of what's coming at him is pretty substantial. He's not ready. He's clearly not ready. He wasn't ready for life in general. He should have never moved out of his parents' house. It's people like this, ladies and gentlemen, that are always called the basement dwellers and shit like that, because they don't have a grasp of life. It's not just interacting with people. It's how to conduct themselves. It's how to interact. It's not just interacting with people, but how to conduct themselves. And if you can't conduct yourself, that means you don't know how to handle yourself. You don't know how to handle your money. You don't know how to do a bunch of things. And Phil, and I promise you when I say this, he has failed at almost every step that he's ever taken in life. In some way, shape, or form, it's all come back on him, and it's somebody else's fault. And the moment that you have to blame somebody else, outside of a couple of instances, and you have to blame someone else for your own downfall, that tells me you were never in control of that situation, which means it's your fault that you failed. Now, there are certain things in life, ladies and gentlemen, that are just out of your hands, that you just can't do anything about. A lot of the problems that Phil had, he could have resolved. A lot of it were just compounding type problems or issues. He was already fucking up, and then other things compound onto it to make it worse. So, like, for example, that whole situation with those false copyright strikes. You fucked those people out of their Project 7 money. You were already putting too many videos out because you wanted cheap views. You wanted quick money. And then when that quick money dried up, you got screwed. Let me give you an example, a real world example, because Phil couldn't do this to you. When Gucci went public, when Gucci went public, because it used to be privately owned, when they ended up going public, like when it actually went public and they leased their brandings out to all these other people, the prestige of Gucci ended up diminishing because it was on everything. You could find Gucci just about anywhere. When Mauricio Gucci, who was there was what, 3 or 4 brothers, I think, of the original Gucci family, of the original sons. There was the father, then there was like 3 or 4 sons, and then Mauricio was his father's only child. So here, let me turn this down just a little bit, just because I feel like I'm talking over this a little bit. So when the company got divided up amongst the next generation of children, Mauricio was on his own. He didn't have any siblings, so he took a lion's share of the company, almost control. I think he had the majority of the control, and they ended up going public. Made all of them. Well, they were already well off. When they went public, it made them stupid rich, but it diminished the brand. Mauricio was like, I don't want this. I want it to go back to being prestigious. I want it jet setting. I want it for the super fucking rich, and we don't need to sell ourselves out because we're too good for that. What we produce is too good for that. So what Mauricio did is, when all those contracts eventually expired, he didn't renew them. And by doing that, that quick money, that gravy train money, if you will, dried up. And he had to invest more of the company money back into the brand to bring the prestige back up. And his cousins didn't want that. They liked the cheap money. They didn't give a fuck about the brand. They were literally making millions a day. But Mauricio was like, no, we can be making hundreds of millions a day if we smarten up with this. And he had to make a decision, which one could say that ended up getting him killed later on in the end. But we can go over that because I've gone through that pretty good. I've read a decent amount, and there's some pretty good documentaries on it. But the point is that when you chase, when you get into easy money like that, it's very, very hard to give it up. And people, you'll find the character of a person when they're put into that scenario. Phil was given easy money by gaming. When it was time to put in a little effort, he could have done it, but he chose not to because the money was still easy and it was coming in abundantly to do nothing. The only reason why he went into the KO gaming even existed is because his back was against the wall and he had to do something. He had to try something different. He had to go ahead and go through the modern methods to make himself stand out, or not even stand out. He literally had to bring himself up to what the industry standard was because he hadn't done it and he was fading out. So he went from being a unique fucking snowflake who does these raw, uncut playthroughs to now being the odd man out, and was literally going to exist. He was about to get hit with that Thanos. Every step he made throughout his YouTube career, he fucked up. And I can't wait to get back on the second channel because I can't wait to walk you guys through some of that shit. He made himself a shitload of enemies. He sat there and made a shitload of mistakes and he never rectified none of them. He never wanted to apologize for any of them. None of that. Despite the fact that, at least with Hutch, he ain't beefed with Hutch, and then he had to run back and Hutch sucks dick. He had to run back and suck Hutch's dick to get a job. That's what he is. He has no morals. And he wants to, he's a child. That's all he's ever been, and that's all he'll ever be. That's how he's conducted himself. And that's why he's at where he's at. If you feel sorry for him, God bless you on that shit. You're a better person than me. But I can't feel bad for somebody who kept making mistakes over and over and over again and bashed and exiled the people who tried to help him. Who told him, hey, you're making a mistake, but you can fix it. Here's how. And he just got them up and out of there. I can't feel bad for somebody who does that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and I very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the next broadcast, whenever that might be. It's not going to be the Tevin video, but that'll be further down the line. Let me go ahead and clear up some more stuff because you know I'm behind, and then eventually we'll get there. We'll eventually get to that Tevin video. It should be fun. It's going to be a long one. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for listening, and I very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the next video, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh yes, a GTG Networking Productions. For the Snort Report, I am your host / anchor GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, guys. In the broadcast. Yikes! Can't believe this idiot. Holy shit.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago, and I think about you every day. But you know, now I got a blue bike, and it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike, I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you acting no brolic, I'll start laughing and mocking like a charismatic parrot that is a comic. Now I'm feeling like the shit cause I'm rapping with phonics. Loose off of Jen Ricky's, perusing Sin City, riding my Schwinn smooth like the swing of Ken Griffey. And the felt of the velvet, I said hell with a helmet. I can tell that you're jealous of the smell of the shellfish. Don't tell me I need a haircut. You can't walk a mile in my shoes cause I'm barefoot. Boss taking the toke, God's making the joke. With a Mickey Mantle rookie card, close pinned in my spoke. I'm partying with the dead like Dia de los Muertos. People look at me funny cause I'm a scarecrow, but I don't care bro, I'm snacking on apricots. I need my space like an astronaut. I'm in the sun chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In a singing mood and drinking booze like a palm. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one. Chasing rum with the juice of a plum. In a singing mood and drinking booze like a palm. Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. I was sad, but fuck it, I got a new one.